This episode covers June 19th through June 22nd, 2024. Day 70 to 73 of My Grand Detour. A 112-day, 18,000-mile solo motorcycle road trip across the US and Canada. Over these 4 days, I rode just 320 miles, but those miles were rich with wildlife encounters, ferry rides, island views, incredible food, and one of the most scenic roads in North America. If you're enjoying the ride so far, please tap the like button and subscribe. Your support lets me know you're out there and helps keep the journey rolling. Day 70. Whales and wooden boats. I left Port Angeles for the short 50-mile coastal ride to Port Townsend. But this day wasn't about logging motorcycle miles. It was about the town itself, and the half-day whale watch I had planned. I'd been wanting to come to Port Townsend since I was introduced to the area by the Sampson Boat Company videos I'd been watching on YouTube. The town and the various shipbuilders that live there are key characters in their videos, and they made Port Townsend seem both intriguing and inviting, as an historic seaport, maritime arts hub, and home of the annual Wooden Boat Festival each September. And on top of all that, my hotel bartender in Denver, Doug, had mentioned that his family ran Puget Sound Express, the whale watch company. So when I arrived for my whale watch that morning, I asked the woman at the check-in if she knew Doug from Denver, and I heard a voice from the back room. "That's my Uncle Doug." A small connection in a big world. The whale watch was amazing. Over the course of a few hours, we spotted dozens of seals, hundreds of sea lions, and thousands of seabirds. The grand prize, though, was a pod of orcas we followed for nearly 2 hours. Watching them breach and swim in the wild was humbling. It reminded me of a Neil deGrasse Tyson video I recently saw. He said that every animal we've ever studied has turned out to be much smarter than we first believed.
He is traveling with the T36A family, which is 6 animals. So we have 7 total animals here.
Seeing those orcas reminded me that all animals, including us, learn, explore, care for our families, and play. Dinner that night was at Siren's. Cioppino again, my favorite. Served on a deck, over the water, and on the walk back to my hotel to cap off the day, I captured this photo of a great blue heron fishing in the moonlight. Day 71 and 72. A mini food tour. The next morning, in the parking lot of the hotel, I chatted with a fellow rider who'd come expressly to see the Tally-Ho restoration. He had gone over to the marina, checked out the boat, and got to meet Leo. I was content just to be in town. We exchanged a few motorcycle stories and moved on. Breakfast in Port Townsend was at the Lighthouse Cafe. And from there, I wandered around town and stumbled into Mara's gallery, where I completely fell for a painting of a dog with bright eyes and one floppy ear. The artist, Rick Erickson, donates a portion of the proceeds to Summit Assistance Dogs, a nonprofit organization that provides highly skilled mobility service dogs for people living with disabilities in the Pacific Northwest. We decided to name him Art, and he now guards our living room in New York. The 12:30 ferry to Coupeville marked my first motorcycle on ferry experience, where I learned that ferries usually let motorcycles board first and depart first. Nice. I was a little surprised that the ferry doesn't tie down motorcycles, but apparently the combination of the short 30-minute ride and the smooth water today made it unnecessary. I rode across Whidbey Island, through a couple of small towns, and past the naval air station where military jets flew overhead, and rode over the iconic Deception Pass Bridge. It's a beautiful island ridescape with amazing scenery. Lunch came at the famous Shrimp Shack, a spot a gentleman in Nashville had recommended to me weeks earlier. Of course, I was a little skeptical of the shrimp burger, but it was delicious, so thanks for the tip. A few hours later, after checking into my hotel in Anacortes and cleaning up, dinner was at the nearby Tin House Thai street food, followed by ice cream at the Fidalgo Drive-In. A good end to the day. Day 72 was all walking and no riding. Anacortes is a seaside gallery town, known for its ferry terminal to the San Juan Islands and artsy downtown. I walked a few miles to the center of town, had lunch at a drift, and spent the afternoon checking out the shops and galleries. I ended the day with a CBGB sandwich at the Brown Lantern. Charbroiled chicken with fresh basil, tomato, bacon, and melted gorgonzola cheese. It reminded me a lot of the jalapeno cream cheeseburger I had back in Pagosa Springs. And between all the eating and the miles of walking, I declared it a net zero calorie couple of days. And I'm sticking to that. Day 73, returning to the rhythm of the ride. After several days exploring coastal towns, I craved the open road again. I followed Route 20 out of town, and for about 75 miles to the North Cascades National Park Visitor Center. I got my passport stamped, and I checked out the exhibits. And on the way back to the bike, I spotted this truck, covered in park stickers. I kind of wanted to wait and talk to the driver. I just know there were stories. But there were still many miles to go today, and an international border to cross. I continued along the North Cascades Highway, part of the Cascade Loop, and a spectacular Butler G1 route, with alpine twisties and dramatic views, past turquoise Diablo Lake and through the Ruby Mountain area, sweeping curves, glacier-fed rivers, and vast mountain views. I inhaled mountain air, and I felt back in full riding rhythm. I stopped for gas in Winthrop, where I met a fellow rally rider. There had been a thread in the rally chat about someone who'd had a tire blowout and a string of other mishaps along the way to the rally. Turns out that was him. We wished each other safe passage and predictable miles from there on out. I rode through Twisp and then turned north on Route 97. And not long after, I crossed the border into Canada. In Osoyoos, I checked into my hotel, which overlooked the lake. I cleaned up and walked about 900 meters, little over half a mile, to Campo Marina Italian restaurant, because it had good reviews on Google. As I was walking in, I noticed 2 motorcycles parked outside. It was a popular place, and the host estimated a 45-minute wait. So I walked over to the lounge and I found a seat, which happened to be next to the 2 guys with helmets. We started chatting, and it wasn't long before their table was ready, and Tom and Ed decided to invite me to join them for dinner. The dinner and conversation were both amazing. Tom and Ed had just gotten back from a week in the US, and we swapped our road stories, and I enjoyed my linguine marinara. I hope you two enjoyed the meal and the conversation as much as I did. Safe travels home. It was a full 250-mile day, and I was back into the rhythm of my ride. I had seen some amazing places, had a lot of great food, and met some nice people. I headed back to the hotel with the sense that I was going to see some of the best of Canada. These days were all about crossings. Roads to ferries, bridges and water, beach islands to snowy peaks, and even countries. Each one offered a new pace, new views, new people. That's the power of a good motorcycle trip. It isn't really about the destination at all. It's about moving, mile by mile, or kilometer by kilometer. As Robert Greene Ingersoll said, in the presence of eternity, the mountains are as transient as the clouds. In the next episodes, I'll journey deeper into British Columbia and Alberta, through Okanagan Lake Country, toward the Canadian Rockies, and Jasper. I've always wanted to go there. Thanks for riding along. Until the next ride, be safe, be curious, and keep meandering.